Last Wednesday, February 28th, 2024, the wrestling world lost Virgil. And while I'm usually quick to post something to social media when a wrestler passes away, I waited. And while I do think he would get a chuckle out of the meat sauce related posts or the money references or the Olive Garden shout outs, I think Virgil deserves a little bit more than that. I think because
of Virgil's random, ridiculous pop-up meet and greets in various locations across the world,
I think we kind of lost sight about
the larger impact of the Virgil character and the emotional investment we had in his storyline with Ted DiBiase in 1991.
In the build-up to Royal Rumble that year, Million Dollar Man was doing increasingly despicable things to his longtime bodyguard, including having him massage his toes and wipe horse manure off his boots. Million Dollar Man and Virgil took on the team of Dustin and Dusty Rhodes. At one point in the match, Virgil accidentally strikes DiBiase, and this sets him off. DiBiase unleashes a series of blows to his bodyguard, and after the contest begins to berate Virgil, insisting that he goes and grabs the $1 million belt and straps it around his waist. When Virgil refuses to do so, he reminds him about the money that he pays him, about the family that Virgil needs to take care of. I think most people forget, when Virgil strikes Ted with that championship belt, the crowd loses it. They want Virgil to give DiBiase what he deserves so bad. He gets a standing ovation. I will never forget, as a kid, that shot of Virgil looking back.
He was the first African-American wrestler in the WWF to be booked not only in a prominent storyline, but booked to win.
We were experiencing that moment with Virgil. It was the match at Summerslam in 1991. That was Virgil's crowning moment. Madison Square Garden, a sold-out crowd, the $1 million championship match. When Virgil ends up crawling, with Piper screaming on commentary for Virgil to do this, and he gets the 3 count, the crowd loses it, and we were so used to the stoic, serious face on Virgil, but in that moment, he showed pure joy. I remember as a kid just being so pumped, and when he does that front flip when he wins the belt, I remember thinking to myself, man, if I was ever a wrestler, and I won a championship belt, I would do a front flip too. I still haven't done a front flip, but I should probably do that at some point in tribute to Virgil. When I became a wrestler, I of course started doing shows with Virgil. In fact, the first show I did with Virgil in 2010, I actually worked with him. He randomly showed up to a Pro Wrestling Ohio show to sell merchandise. Because he was uninvited and not liked by the promoter booking the show, he was almost kicked out of the venue. Myself and Johnny Gargano convinced him to let him stay, and in return for him selling his merchandise at the event, he would do some promos. And so he ended up being a mentor to myself and my tag team partner at the time, Hobo Joe. Virgil appeared in a promo to give us some inspiration, some motivation.
I trust you so much. I'm telling you about my buddy Virgil, right? My longtime friend Virgil.
If it's the Virgil I think you're talking about, look, I'm real skeptical.
Wake up! What's up, brother?
Virgil, buddy, how you been? How you been?
What's up, man? Now, what we talking about right here, we're talking about love, okay? Love is, man, you gotta love your right-hand man right here, okay? And he gotta love you. That's where the action goes at right here. You gotta believe in him, he gotta believe in you, okay? You believe in him, right?
Of course.
He believes in you.
I believe in you, Greg Iron.
You can rock it, man. You can rock it, you can take it, and you can win it all.
Because I enjoyed Virgil's 1991 run so much, only to pop myself and the producer, Joe Dombrowski, I referenced a Virgil line from a promo on Wrestling Challenge in the build-up to WrestleMania 7.
At WrestleMania, DiBiase, you spell man, V-I-R-G-I-L.
And if I know one thing that rings true in life, you smell man one way, and that's VIR. GIL.
And Virgil stares at me for a second, and he just looks into the camera and goes,
It sounds good.
had no recollection of hitting that line in that promo in 91. One moment with Virgil that sticks out to me was in 2014. During this event, there was a comedy show, and we ended up sitting together during the comedy show and talking, and at one point, Virgil just leans over to me and goes, Greg, why don't you go to the WWF? And he says that as if, I have never thought about doing that, like it was going to be some sort of epiphany in that moment. Maybe I should go to the biggest wrestling federation in the world. And I go, well, I don't know if it's just that easy as just I could just go to the WWF. And he goes, here's what you do. You and your wife. I didn't have a wife. I've never had a wife. You and your wife, you move to Stanford. You buy a house. You call the office. You get a meeting with Vince. And I go, okay. Then what? You go into the office, and during your meeting with Vince, you say, Vince, can I have a job? But I say to Virgil, okay, but what if I ask for a job and Vince says no? Virgil, without missing a beat, says, you ask again. Foolproof plan. I got to experience many more of his fibs and tall tales, which if you've ever interacted with Virgil at a show, you've heard him yourself.
He has been on 17 WrestleManias. He had a $7 million contract with WCW. That contract was guaranteed money through 2005. Every other WCW guy's guaranteed deal ended in 2003. He once measured Daniel Bryan and he's only 4'11". If you wanted Hulk or Rock to sign something, they'd charge you $1,000. This is why his charge was acceptable.
Interesting things that he told me in my last encounter with him included he once wrestled Tito Santana in front of over 80,000 people in Cleveland Stadium. WWF never ran Cleveland Stadium, and he told me, unprompted, that lifetime he's broken 119 femurs, 90 in high school, 10 while wrestling for the WWF. By quickly doing math, I realized that either he doesn't know how to add, or he's leaving broken femurs unaccounted for. That night, Joey Janela's spring break, and I was taking on Effie. Virgil would be my manager. Virgil was clad in a 440 shirt, and I thought for sure he was going to stay aligned with me. But in the end, he ended up cracking me in the head on purpose with a can. And in the back, as we were running through the spot for him to accidentally hit me with the beer can, he kept going, I'm going to take this beer can, I'm going to blast you in the head. And he was like so serious about it. I thought for sure he was going to murder me with this can. Of course, it comes time for the spot in the match, and he wrenches back and he gives me the worst shot of all time. In that moment, it felt so bad, and I knew it looked like shit that I almost didn't sell it, but I did, because it's Virgil. He took off his 440 shirt to align with Effie and become a member of the gay community. It's as ridiculous as it sounds. Virgil could be put in any scenario, and while most people would turn it down, Virgil embraced these gimmicks, these characters, these scenarios, and somehow made them work. At one point, he even portrayed Virgilina. Do you remember that one?
What's that, DiBiase? You call me a liar? You saying this is Virgil? This ain't Virgilina? Who do you think you are? You call Hot Water a liar, Mr. DiBiase? Well, I'll call my little brother right out here, right now. Virgil! I hate birds!
Virgil had been sick for a while, suffering from various ailments, including dementia. Virgil was known for his legendary hustles at the gimmick table, but he worked us in a bigger way. When he passed, we all were told that he was 61 years old. In reality, Virgil was born on April 7th, 1952, making him 72 years old when he passed. That means he was 40 when he won the $1 Million Championship. Virgil had very little family. But the one thing that I know is true about Virgil is that he loved his fans. Even when he was hustling an 8x10 to you, in those moments, he gave you his undivided attention. Sure, there was a $20 bill on the other side of that for Virgil, but regardless, I've never heard of Virgil being disrespectful or mean or rude to any fan. At the end of the day, he was about entertaining the fans. The last time that I worked with Virgil in that match with Effie, I got to do a little photo shoot and take professional photos with Virgil. And it was funny to me at the time. And now looking back at it, of course, it means that much more. And as I make this video, it's a reminder to try to better appreciate those moments when you're in them. He was a part of the golden age of the World Wrestling Federation. He was a part of the NWO. And of course, the West Texas Redneck. As a performer, I've got to do a lot of cool things in my life. I'm fortunate to have gotten to work with Wrestling Superstar Virgil. Virgil, thank you for the opportunity to work with you. Thank you for being so kind and giving, not just to me, but to others. And thank you for the memories, not just the ones that I got as an adult, but the ones that I got as a child. For making me believe that when the odds are against you, you can overcome. I know that you're not going to have to hustle your way into heaven. You earned your spot. Goodbye, my friend.